Okay, so this weekend, the name on the marquee has got to be Sergio Pettis, who this past weekend at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois, defeated Patricio Pitbull by unanimous decision. The scorecards read 49-46 and 50-45 two times as well. So fairly one-sided affair in favor of Mr. Pettis there. In doing so, defending his Bellator Bantamweight Championship against one of the greatest bantamweights of all time in MMA. I think it could be argued. In the co-main event, by the way, this stole the spotlight from our main event here for Bellator 297. Mark, I have talked enough. Get us going here. Talk about this huge win by Sergio Pettis defeating the great Patricio Pitbull.
Yeah, the co-main stole the spotlight from both main events, the Bellator and the UFC.
That's right.
But the reason it did is because this was some shit, man. Like, I get it that Patricio Pitbull is a man who has fought at a higher weight class his whole career. And I get it that he felt more comfortable trying 155 before he ever tried 135. So maybe that cut is not as easy as he made it look. I get it that he's 35 and that he's had 40 fights on the resume when he decided to try to make this cut. I still never thought he would lose to Sergio Pettis. Like, I just didn't. I get it. Older guy making a weight cut. It's supposed to be a red flag. I didn't think he'd lose Sergio Pettis. I did not give Sergio enough credit. I saw the way that Kyoji handled him pre-knockout, obviously, and I let myself think that Sergio was just a notch below some of these guys. And I thought that applied to Pitbull as well. And I was wrong because he beat Pitbull in arguably every single round of this fight, at least 4 out of the 5. He was incredible. He managed the range so well. He closed it when he wanted to close it. He froze Pitbull in there for long stretches where Pitbull wasn't even sure what he wanted to throw. Sergio was the faster fighter. He was the one landing in combos. He was working calf kicks beautifully, and he mixed up his levels all fight too, which I think was part of the freezing of Pitbull. It was jabs. It was calf kicks. Then it was a front kick, a body shot, a head kick, a spinning head kick, and all combos throughout all of this. It was really just a great variety and consistent volume coming from Sergio. And it froze Pitbull. And is a lot of this on Pitbull as well? Yes. I really didn't feel like I was watching the usual Pitbull in there, so maybe the weight cut did more than it looked like it had visually, because visually you were like, oh, like, yeah, he's skinnier, but he looks all right here. So maybe it had more of an effect. Maybe he just didn't have the usual, like, go that he has. But I don't want to take anything away from Sergio because I really was impressed by the way he handled that fight. He even said afterward that he didn't expect to beat Patricio Pitbull. He said he was telling his girlfriend that, like, this guy's amazing. This might not go my way here. And that's how I feel, too. I cannot believe he handled him the way he did, and he absolutely cemented his legacy in MMA on Friday.
By the way, I think I misspoke. I said Pitbull was one of the greatest bantamweights ever. Of course, he is not a long-term bantamweight, but he is one of the greats. Omar, let me kick it over to you. What was your take on the performance of Sergio Pettis, knowing that he wasn't even sure if he was going to win? Most guys would say that going into any fight, that they are confident that they are going to win. Why else would they fight? So a candid moment from Pettis. What's your take?
I can share with you that majority of the guys that speak on that bravado are usually just doing that. It's they're full of shit. And it's not to say that they don't believe that they can, but doubt is always there with free rent in people's heads. There's always the what ifs that are up there. There's always the things that are messing with them. And it's just the ability to manage it, right? To fight through it and believe in your training, believe in the cardio, believe in the work that you did. And the more that you have the ability to do that, the more you can push through the doubts. But those things nobody goes into those fights, especially at that high level, with no doubts and all of that supreme confidence. So I think it was good on Sergio for just kind of peeling the curtain back a little bit and not having that much bravado and letting people into his mindset a little bit, because the reality is I think it's a lot better for them to be honest about that. And I think leading up to the fights, you got to do promotion the way you do promotion, but I think it's great for them to talk about, how they have doubts, right? Pitbull is somebody who was around before Pettis started fighting. You know what I mean? And Pitbull's made a name for himself. That's a real dude, and Kyoji Horiguchi arguably kind of came up along with Pettis. So there's probably a certain amount of, I don't know, kind of the same respect that he would have for, like a coworker or something like that, right? Like somebody like on his level as far as Kyoji Horiguchi is concerned. But there might have been a little bit more respect on the side of where he looked at Pitbull, right? Because he's seen Pitbull as he was going up in the game and the successes that he's had and how good he is. So that's also something that we've seen people falter with before as well, right? Fighting guys that not necessarily they idolize, but have watched growing up and have a lot of respect for and don't do as well as they have in other fights. And Pettis fought through all of that. And it was beautiful to watch because it was honestly, I thought, one of Pettis's greatest performances at a championship level, right? He took a lot of damage in the Horiguchi fight. He did not take that much damage in this fight. Pitbull didn't really push the gas a lot, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that Pettis was throwing combinations. There were not a lot of single pot shots. He was not head hunting in that fight at all. Like Mark said, there was a lot of level changing in there, and that's something that we're doing now a lot in my gym at this point right now is level changing. So we're switching up, leg kicks to high kicks, jabs to leg kicks, right? Jabs to knees to leg kicks, knees to body kicks. So just trying to change up the cadence and the patterns to keep people guessing. And Pitbull and Sergio are both counter strikers, and I think there had to be a balance there of being able to attack while also still doing what you're good at. And Sergio was able to do that where Pitbull obviously was not. But it was a beautiful performance by Sergio Pettis. I was so happy to be wrong for that fight. I was not happy to be wrong for everything else because your boy had a rough weekend. But it's so difficult to know how to pick these fights when you don't really see these types of performances until you do, right? Like I wouldn't, like Mark said, like I wouldn't have picked Sergio Pettis, not because I don't think Sergio Pettis is good, but just because I thought Pitbull was just a step above. But after watching a fight like this, not only did Sergio Pettis look like he belonged in there 100%, but he looked better than Pitbull in that fight. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Gotta think that, given the fact that Pettis was so candid, I love that that note you said, Mark. That little anecdote that he was talking to his girlfriend was like, I might not win. This guy's fucking great. But yeah, given how he performed, gotta think that he's going to go into whatever is his next fight with the biggest confidence in the world. Of maybe he's going to have realized of what level he actually is at before he even knew it. What do you think is next for him, Mark?
So we know, and it's arguably just as big as this was. He's now got to unify the titles against the winner of the Grand Prix. It's going to be him and Patchy Mix to determine the true Bellator Bantamweight champion. So, I had gotten myself very excited for the idea of Pitbull against Patchy Mix. So it's time to shift my excitement here. But I will, because Sergio just showed that he can't be taken lightly. And
it's a great fight.
That's going to be a great fight. I can't wait for that fight.
Yeah. What about
and I think if it was against Pitbull, I probably would have said that I would pick Patchy over Pitbull, but now I don't even really know.
I was ready to go Patchy over Pitbull as well, which makes you think I should be like, I'm also ready to go Patchy over Sergio.
Patchy, right.
But the way he just surprised me so much now has me like, well, fuck. Like, I don't know.
I know. That is exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's a good
wild.
one. It's a good one. And Patchy's so much bigger. I don't know if you saw when he came into the cage.
Oh,
and
yeah.
did their little stare down. I mean,
No.
Patchy's so much bigger, but, he is.
Yeah. What about Pitbull? Do you think he sticks around for another fight or something else at 35, or is he just going to tuck his tail between his legs and go back up to 45 or 55?
I mean, he's still the featherweight champ, so, how long can you make that division wait? I completely respect him doing what he did and trying to push for a third belt and do something that no one has done, and it would have been awesome. But it didn't go his way, and I feel like now he's just got to go back and he's got to defend his featherweight belt. There's guys waiting. There's not any huge name contender necessarily waiting for him, but there is a Jeremy Kennedy who I feel like deserves a shot, has proven that he is that guy right now, and I think that's probably the fight we should be making here. And honestly, if he gets past Kennedy and Aaron Pico can get another win and show that he's healthy and right there, then we could have a big marquee fight of him and Pico.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Any other ideas, Omar, for that?
Yeah. No, usually when it comes to Bellator, I leave that to Mark. Their rankings drive me crazy.